Give me a warning first. My eyes need to adjust to light again. God. Hey guys, hope you've had a wonderful 2019 so far. I had originally planned this episode to be released around Halloween last year, and well, you can see how that went. Not entirely my fault though. I had some technical issues, I had some things in my life I had to figure out, as well as some health things. But it's 2019 now, a brand new year, and you know what they say, new year, new you. Yeah, I don't get it either. But it did spark an idea, something new to me. Since I like experiencing older, retro titles, why not try something new from way back then? And so with that in mind, and the fact that this was meant to be the Halloween episode, I thought Silent Hill was the perfect contender. And definitely not because I have a bunch of footage I don't want going to waste. I think I've made this a habit to say this every year, but I never found myself too fond of horror games. At least not until about 3 years ago, where my interest started to rise, mostly because of my exposure due to various YouTubers. So over time I increasingly became more willing to give spooky and scary games a solid try, whereas before I wouldn't so much as bat an eyelid at them. So at Halloween last year, I decided to finally try my hand at possibly the peak of psychological horror games for the PS1. Silent Hill, created by Konami and released in 1999. Now, I've actually owned this copy of Silent Hill 1 for quite some time, knowing full well I'd give it an attempt one day when I was more used to horror games, so it was kind of exciting to finally take a step into this well-loved classic. I think the most interesting part for me was that I was able to play this completely blind. My whole life I've actually seen very little gameplay outside of maybe the first hour or so I didn't know what to expect. Sadly, knowing some stuff about the first section kind of spoils the impact of the gameplay intro. That section where you walk down the alleyways of the town to get lost in the dark, and holy hell do I mean dark, to wind up being killed by these weird creatures with big claws. I'll also point out I'm playing the EU version since, you know, British and all.
I say, what, this video game is very good. Pip pip, cheerio and all that, yes.
So those strange kids you might be used to seeing in the US version aren't even in my copy. Turns out all of that was a dream, and we wake up in a cafe nearby and meet Sybil, and she confuses me. Hey, who are you? Why are you here? Here, have my gun. Okay, bye. Wait, what? Wow, that police lady sure was nice to help out someone she didn't even know. Well, time to loot the place, and just as you're about to leave, you hear that iconic sound. The radio. Now, even with my little knowledge about the first game, or even the series as a whole, I know all about this radio and what it does. And just for those few who may not know, the radio makes a strange sound when an enemy is nearby. It's just enough information to know something is out there without clearly telling you where. Just that it is there. Honestly, I think that's very smart. It keeps the tension up since the sound is quite grating, but also acts as enough noise for you to not be blindsided or scared at silence every given moment. And what I love the most about it is you can turn it off if you do want that extra creepy factor. That's pretty cool. So after picking up everything I can in the cafe, we can head outside into town where we're free to roam around and see what's up. You can find ammo, health items, enemies waiting to do goddamn drive-bys, but the first objective is to check out that alley we saw at the start. Maybe we'll find something there. Some clues, hinting that we should check out the school. Written in totally not ominous blood, and definitely ink, I'm sure. Incidentally, who actually wrote this though? Getting to the school requires you find 3 keys hidden in the first half of the map, all of which I thought were pretty easy to find once you have the clues from the house. This allows you to go through this house, which then connects the 2 parts of town together. And man, once you go through that door, this is when the game truly begins. They've given you some time to get some objectives done, learn the controls and how everything feels. Now it's time to let you see what this game can really do. And I love the way that it transitions from day to night, also as if to signal this moment of now the real fun starts. But also, man, is it hard to see anything. I understand not wanting to have too much to see to add to various factors, atmosphere, spooks, and maybe hardware limitations, but sometimes I felt like the poor lighting just added to the frustration rather than the scares. In some later areas of the game, it isn't as bad, but I'd often find the darkness to be a big hindrance whenever a bad guy came in to swat at me and I wouldn't know how to react or attack back due to rarely being able to see what was 2 feet in front of me. Man, I sure do love video games. And with the mention of combat, we first need to talk about the controls. This game has tank controls, which were more common back in the day. And real quick, for anyone not in the know, these controls make you move forward when you press up and rotate when you hit left and right. Though this can have its advantages, the most common one is the game won't throw you around when the camera switches to try and be more cinematic, keeping you on track and being able to adjust your turning with ease. Personally, I felt it made me struggle with the game more, with the enemies basically being all having to turn to line up a swing or a shot can be a chore. Slowly shuffling around to try and angle yourself for the creature to just whap you or jump by and get behind you once again. This can be the most painful if you let multiple enemies attack you at once. Now, they did try to help you by adding the function of doing quick 180 turns or side steps, but I felt that using those didn't work in my favor much. In the end, it didn't slow me down too much though, as the longer I played, the more used to using the controls I got. But as the game went on adding more and more complicated enemies to fight, I found myself just running past things and hoping for the best more often than I had in previous areas, which did kind of take out the tension a bit. Other factors of combat were the weapons, in which you get a nice handful of choices, either a variety of guns or some melee weapons for those who like to get up close and personal to save ammo, which felt like the main purpose of the melee weapons was just that, a means to still attack if you so happen to run out of bullets for the much better at killing the bad guy weapons. Well, that was until I found my favorite weapon, the giant mallet of death. This thing just destroyed things. Also had some great range, though my real enjoyment of the melee weapons could have come from the weird glitch I encountered when firing guns in later parts of the game. When I would fire a certain gun and hit an enemy, it would continue making weird noises or repeating the sound over and over. I've been told it's a common thing when playing the game using a PS3, so it's easy for me to just look past that, especially since it was pretty damn funny. Dang it, this fucking gun. Here we go. This is my life now. Yeah, boy, there's the multiple shots. Shots. Oh my god, it's getting worse! War never changes. It's a battlefield. When you're not just wandering around town, you're normally in a level which has a particular set piece. Things like a school, or a hospital, or the sewers. I really enjoyed the variety in levels, what they brought in environment, and what the main enemy type was. And usually, about the halfway point of exploring these areas, they would transform into the twisted, warped reality version. Even though these were more dark and gritty, often with a kind of corrosive, rusty feel, I actually think they lessened the experience of the various areas because it kind of made them feel all the same eventually. That's not to say it wasn't creepy though, definitely made me unsettled every time it did that. And of course, at the end of every level, you had a boss to fight. Now, fighting these guys can be quite difficult if you don't find a weapon within the area, which is usually what the game expects you to do. That being said, my first time through the school, I actually completely missed the shotgun. Thankfully, I was informed of that and was able to reload and get it, which made the first boss so much easier. There weren't as many bosses as I thought there was going to be, but there were more levels than I thought there was going to be. To my surprise, the town kept expanding, different areas to explore and things to see and do. And eventually, not to my surprise, the town also got a corrupted evil version. It was around that time I was kind of ready for the game to be over, but it did go on just a little longer. Thankfully, not too long. I got to the final level, the final dungeon as it were, and whatever I could make of the story kind of all came together, sort of. I still don't fully understand what the story is. I know the general idea of Silent Hill, but the story never really clicked for me. So when I get to the final boss and all this stuff's going down, I'm just like, well, get shotgun a lot in the face. Okay, I got literally the worst ending you can get, by the way. I was told it was because I missed 2 side story pieces, which is fine for me. Honestly, I'm not too worried about getting the good ending. I enjoyed my experience overall. But saying that, I must say, there was a part of me that was a little let down. I was expecting more, maybe for it to try and scare scare me more? Don't get me wrong, it was plenty atmospheric, and I understand that it goes for more psychological horror over the boo scary horror. And definitely age is a big reason for that. I imagine playing this on release must have been a completely different experience. But what it did have, I really enjoyed. I wouldn't necessarily go back and do it again, but I'm glad I was able to experience Silent Hill. So yeah, pretty good. And that's not to say I'm going to stop there. I do also own the game's sequel. I've also been informed it's generally considered better than the first, so I'm excited to try it out. I don't know if you'll have to wait until Halloween to see me play that, but we'll have to see what happens. If you were one of the people that grew up with Silent Hill, tell me your experience when you first played the game back in the day. Or if you have played it more recently, what is your opinion on it compared to other horror games these days? I'd love to hear what you have to say, but until then, thank you for watching this episode of Pixelated Memories. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode of Pixelated Memories. I know it's been a little bit since my last one. I apologize for that. Huge shout out to those who have stuck with me, but we're gonna get right back on track starting today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It really helps out. If you're new here, check out one of my other videos available here, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for those notifications. And I hope you enjoyed. Check out my Twitter and my Twitch as well, you know, all that good stuff. Take care and have a lovely day.